I'm Theo.
And I'm Juliet.
And this is Apologies Accepted.
We offer an entertaining look at some of the big issues in history by examining public apologies of the famous and infamous.
We're looking at politicians, serial killers, actors, and you.
Send us a public apology you would like to make, and we'll read it on the air and give you a chance to redeem yourself or just get some guilt off your shoulders.
We're here for you. Once a week, maybe more if you're really, really sorry.
Hi, everybody. This is Apologies Expected. No, Apologies Accepted. We have Apologies Expected later.
Been a while.
Episode. It's been a while. We've been out of town. I've been out of town. Everybody's been doing their own thing. We're back finally live for at least this week. I think the next couple of weeks we'll probably be out of town or otherwise occupied. So we'll have more classic episodes for you. But by the way, I'm not a Theo.
And by the way, I am not Juliet. See, we'll get there. It's coming back
there gradually. And the burning question, of course, is especially burning this week because we haven't been here for a little while. And that is, what's shaking, bacon?
Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Let's see. Oh, right. What has been going on and trying to... So one thing I've noticed, and I know you've noticed too, that we'll say to each other during the podcast, oh, I'll look into that. Oh, I'm going to do this thing. Oh, I'll research that topic. And then we don't.
Happens.
Yeah, it never happens. And I was listening to a classic episode and I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I meant to do that. So let's see. So I left work. Hooray. And yay. And now I'm going to be spending more time doing things like drinking and tanning. Yay. And maybe some writing. We'll see. We'll get into that. And so on that, you're the only one saying yay. Believe me, the rest of the world is like, don't punish us. We still remember that. Oh, so famous. Get ready.
So famous.
Still famous. But so I had this idea of like, all right, why don't I like take a novel and then a novel idea and have ChatGPT write it in my voice. So upload like some of my writing into ChatGPT. Surprised it hasn't already been done by historians. And say, hey, chat, finish this, right? So rather than give it an entire novel, I just ask it to do a page. I won't be moving forward with that project idea.
Oh, no.
It was work out? So much better than anything I could have ever done. No, it was bad.
It was terrible.
What's cool is it's just a computer doing it. Yeah. And so, it gave characters voice, slightly different voice than I would have used. And it introduced a new character. And I was like,
oh, wow.
We don't need this person in the graveyard. The graveyard is fine by what? Already criticizing ChatGPT. And so no, I guess right now for the free version of Chat, well, actually I paid a month's subscription just to see if that was any better. And then no. Yeah. And so I'm a little sad about ChatGPT. Did do all the work for me. And now I've got to do it. Let's see.
It was worth the experiment though.
I've got that. I mean, I'm going to say, I have an even writer from our last episode. And it kind of dovetails into this week's episode, which is kind of about hypocrisy and abuse of power. So you may remember it may have been our last live one, was Grimes, the musician who said that she loved white culture and she was proud of white culture. And I called her a Nazi. And so after listening to that episode, I realized, no, I don't owe her an apology, but more clarification. And here's the point, right? I need to stop calling people Nazis. They're actually members of the KKK.
Okay.
Right?
I gotcha.
Grimes in particular. Okay. And so it's lazy shorthand to call somebody a Nazi when they're expressing white supremacy, right? KKK works really great in America. Let me rephrase that. What?
I'm going to isolate that and put that in the beginning of every episode.
Oh, totally. the expression, the term, the word KKK works really great in America. All Americans know what that is, and they understand what that's about, right? And that is about white power. Nazis is that plus fascism. Okay, so, and then thinking about it a little further, right? So when people say, oh, I'm really proud of white culture, okay, explain to me what white culture is.
Right.
Because I will tell you that the French don't really love the Germans. They're both white, and there's German culture and French culture. There's Italian culture. There's Spanish culture. So what is white culture? Right. And so it's lazy when clans or white supremacists use the term white culture, and it's lazy when I refer to them as Nazis.
I see.
I just need to get that extra syllable in there. KKK. KKK. So, yeah, that's what America's Hero has been busy doing, thinking about the difference between Nazis and the Klan. And that's all I got until I actually sit down and write something. I did join a gym. I have gone and worked out. I know. Tell me, I've been threatening to do it for like 2 months, and I finally did it. And I remember that I liked it.
You too?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't love it.
Yeah.
But I do like it.
Well, that's good. Do you go in the morning? Or I guess you can go anytime you want now that you're not working.
Can go anytime. So, I'm so busy not writing that I don't have time to go to the gym. No, I go in the morning because as much as I like it, I also want to get it out of the way. And I know how I am. If I say, I'm going to go at 2. Yeah. If I don't do it first thing,
amen,
it just keeps getting pushed back until it's like tomorrow. I needed a day off anyway.
Yeah. Did you join a cheap, convenient gym or an expensive, inconvenient gym?
I joined a moderate gym. Gold's.
Oh.
It's $37 a month.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so cheap and convenient. I thought about Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
And I had belonged to them once, and they were perfectly fine. And if anything, I really should have gone to Planet Fitness because they had the trans-inclusive policy in the dressing room.
That's nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of right-wingers were like, boycott them.
Good.
But 1, I forgot all about it. And 2, the Gold was closer.
Yeah.
So,
and you went to Gold's before, so you're familiar with it.
And that's in my head. That's where I go when I want to get serious about my health, right? And this is not about beauty,
psychologically. So yeah, of course, it's just about health.
Totally psychological.
Yeah, I belong to a gym that costs like $175 a month, and I don't think I've been in the past 6 months. So I really need to go. But it's like with work. I mean, that's an excuse, but with work, it's really hard to get there because I've got to like get there and then work out and then get back, and that's 2 hours right there before. In the middle of the day, it just doesn't work. But I've got to figure something out, like go super early in the morning or something. I don't know what time they open, but I've got to figure that out. So I was taking classes like easy yoga classes, and those were really good for me because I haven't been working out for so long. But those are all at like noon, and that doesn't really work. But anyway, that's that. That's my gym experience. So for the rest of my bacon, I still haven't bought a chair. I'm sitting in a broken chair still.
Okay, but in fairness to you, you had a bunch of electrical. They ripped out all the wiring out of your house. They tore down walls. They put walls back up.
They did.
How could you buy a chair with all that going on around you?
How could I buy a chair? I didn't buy a desk either, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm also going to buy a sofa sometime soon. I've got to clear that with Brent, but the electrical work is done finally, thank God. The dust remains, but Brent cleaned up. I shouldn't say we because I didn't lift a finger. Brent cleaned up a lot of the dust that was remaining, and they did patch and paint, and they missed a lot of spaces, and Brent did all that work. So he's been working really hard while I was gone in Arizona and New Mexico, which is the other part of my bacon. I've been gone for a couple of weeks in Arizona and New Mexico, which was fun and very pretty. And it was nice to get out of the house and not have to be in a hotel. I'm so sick of hotels now, which is sad because I used to love hotels. But now I'm just like, please never let me have to stay in a hotel again. I just can't anymore.
It'll come back.
It's really nice. If it's really nice, I'll totally stay. But by really nice, I mean like, $1,000
5-star. Yeah.
So
movie star quality.
So probably not going to happen. But that's that. I think that's all my bacon. Oh, I did get a haircut, and I also signed up for a meal delivery service. So I'm not going to say which one because they don't pay us, but I'm curious to see. I used to do maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I used to do a different one, which I didn't really like that much. So I'm curious to see if this one will be any better. And it's just so I eat appropriately every day. So I'd signed up for like a lower calorie meal delivery service. So we'll see how the food quality is. And if it's good, maybe I'll sign Brent up too for just a regular meal delivery service.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know how that goes. I went with one for a while when I heroically went back to school at the rather advanced age of 48. And I just didn't have brain power to think about like, what am I going to make for dinner? And so it was so nice just having like a box or a bag in there that was like, open it up and throw it in a pan.
Exactly. This one is like open it up and microwave it. So it's even better. It's like I don't have to mix ingredients or do anything. I just throw it in the microwave, which is exactly my speed. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'll let everyone know how it goes. And if it's really good, maybe I'll give them a free plug.
Okay, great. Otherwise, selfishly guard that and keep that brand name to yourself.
That's right, I will. So let's talk about our story this week. So we've got an upstate New York district attorney who's under investigation after a police body cam video went viral, capturing her confrontation with a police officer who stopped her for speeding. This happened on April 22nd, which it's been a month now. Can you believe it? We've been talking about doing this for a month. She called the officer an asshole and demanded, "Leave me alone." Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Dorley issued an apology on April 29th, which coincidentally is one day after New York Governor Kathy Hochul referred the incident to the State Commission on Prosecutorial Conduct. So I wonder about the motivation for her apology there. The body cam footage showed that the incident began when a Webster police officer, identified by the Democrat and Chronicle newspaper as Cameron Crisafulli, followed Dorley to her garage after she had apparently refused to pull over for speeding. Officer Crisafulli asked Dorley why she hadn't pulled over, despite his lights and sirens being on. Dorley admitted that she was driving 55 in a 35-mile-per-hour zone, but claimed that she didn't realize he was trying to stop her, insisting there were other cars on the road. "I was right behind you," Crisafulli responded. Throughout the now viral video, Dorley ignored instructions to stay in front of her garage, instead walking around and trying to get into her home. "Ma'am, do not go inside," Crisafulli said. "Ma'am, come outside. You can't just go inside. This is a traffic stop." Dorley retorted, "I understand the law better than you. Get out of my fucking house." She appeared agitated and repeatedly boasted, "I am the DA of Monroe County." When told she had violated speeding laws, she responded, "I don't really care." She actually called the Webster Police Chief, Dennis Kohlmeyer, and put Crisafulli on the line with him. He then called a supervisor to the scene. And he said, "I just don't understand the hostility towards me. I'm just doing my job." And Dorley replied, "You're being an asshole. I am the DA of Monroe County." At one point, she said, "If you give me a traffic ticket, that's fine. I'm the one that prosecutes it. Go ahead." She also mentioned she was having a really bad day dealing with 3 murders. Kind of her job, isn't it?
Well, also, like, a cop would never have to deal with a murder, right?
Know,
or a cop could never have a bad day.
Never. No, nothing bad ever happens when you're a police officer. When a supervisor arrived and spoke with Dorley, Crisafulli was finally able to issue her a speeding ticket. I would love to know what that supervisor said to her, but none of the articles that I have found mention it. So when he gave her the speeding ticket, she nodded and said that she apologized. So the supervisor apparently got through to her. Crisafulli responded to her, "I'm sorry you had a bad day, and I'm sorry it went this way. I do respect what you do. Have a good day." So he seemed a little intimidated by her, in my opinion.
I'm actually going to say okay. I don't know if he was intimidated, because when I listened to the recording, and I've heard it multiple times over the last month, because it's been in the news a lot.
Yeah.
He just seems more, I mean, he's very polite. And if the big point here is if that had been anybody else, you would have been in cuffs. I would have been in cuffs.
For sure.
We all would be in jail. Right. But not her. So there is probably some deference happening there. But yeah, I think he did a really good job de-escalating what could have been an even uglier, dumber, so fucking dumb situation. Take the motherfucking ticket and then throw it away later if you have that power, lady.
Right.
Jesus
Don't
Christ.
make a deal out of it. Just get rid of it if that's what you're going to do, which probably she would have. She now faces 2 investigations. One was requested by the governor, Kathy Hochul, involves the state Commission on Prosecutorial Conduct. And in a statement, the governor said the body cam footage clearly showed that Dorley, quote, claimed she is above the law, attempted to use her public office to evade responsibility, and acted unprofessionally towards a police officer simply trying to do his job. Hochul said that Dorley had undermined her ability to hold others accountable for violating the law. And a second investigation is being launched by the Monroe County Office of Public Integrity. There are no criminal investigations, as Dorley was, and I say this in quotes, only speeding 20 miles per hour over the limit, 55 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone. And a crime of fleeing a police officer, at least in her area, requires a speed of at least 25 miles per hour over the limit, or evidence of reckless driving, which there wasn't. So I wish she had been going 5 miles faster, and then they could put her in jail, but no. So that's my information on Dorley. Do you have anything extra? Bonus information?
Extra bonus. So I found an amazing podcast.
Yeah?
Yeah. I won't listen to it weekly.
Yeah.
But I will listen to it upon occasion if I remember that it exists, right?
Uh-huh.
And so it's called Police Off the Cuff.
Oh, wow.
And it's hosted by a veteran, 27 years on the NYPD, right?
Oh, interesting.
And he is such a New York cop.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so he did 2 episodes about this. He did one just after it happened, and it was rather quick, 30-minute little thing. And in that episode, so the premise of a show is he looks at police news, stuff that's in the news about cops, and then talks about it from a police officer's perspective. And I was kind of expecting it to be a little right wing, or maybe, and it wasn't. He sounded like a very reasonable guy. It's so New York. Oh my God. So like, give me a pastrami sandwich. Everybody, that's my New York accent. And so on one hand, he was like, I don't understand why everybody is beating this woman up and demanding that she be fired. You all have to know that politicians are above the law. This is not news. Mm-hmm. This is something that happens every day. And as to the cop who did an excellent job, right? Speaking more to the district attorney, Sandra, what he said was, it doesn't matter that you were having a bad day, because as we say in the police department, 1,000 attaboys don't equal 1 aw shit. I was like, I love this expression. This is not a great expression, but okay. If we're going to say all cops say that, awesome. And so from his point of view, it is a situation that could have escalated. She could have been put into cuffs. She could have been wrestled to the ground. She could have anything, right? She could have gotten really mad and smacked the cop.
Yeah.
Right? If he brought out cuffs, she could have snatched them out of his hand and thrown them away. She could have landed herself in jail, right? But the cop did a really good, Officer Christofoly. Thank you. Could not get that name right in my head. Did a really excellent job, in this professional police officer's opinion, of de-escalating the situation.
Good.
And then he let out a cop secret, which I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And that cop secret is, we're going to give you what you're putting out.
Right.
If we stop you and you're nice and you're kind and you're courteous and you admit you made a mistake, we might let you off with a warning.
Right.
If you roll down your window and you have attitude, you don't know what I've just walked out of.
Right.
Right. And so you might just trigger me. It was like, I would love to pull a sovereign citizen over and have somebody roll up their window and tell me I don't have the right to arrest them because, buddy, I'm smashing that window and pulling you out of it. And I was like, that's a fucking cop.
Wow.
That's a cop. Those are the people I am afraid of.
Yeah.
And also the people I respect, right? And so why was it like so interesting for me? Because for the longest while I've been, all police are bad, everything's terrible. And sure, let's also acknowledge that if the DA had been a black woman, she would have been arrested, probably.
Yes,
right,
for sure.
And she might, and if she'd not been like involved in the legal profession, there are people who don't leave those situations alive. when you're a person of color, you deal with the cops. Not a message I need to keep putting out into the universe, but that is a reality. And so I recognize that as a white person, I am saying, oh, I've always thought the cops are bad, but now I've heard a cop talk, and now I'm thinking, okay, cops are kind of good sometimes. And all right, message received. I am no longer going to be like, how dare you stop me, officer? And instead, I will just simply say, officer.
Hi, honey.
You don't know who I am.
How are you doing today?
Yeah. So not much to say about Sandra, but I do have at least a Chat GPT tie-in. So, which started our show. And I'll bring it into the middle, and we'll see if I can pull it out at the end as well. Whatever. In high school, maybe. Early 20s, maybe. I heard a quote. Somebody said that an old Greek once said, only a fool confuses honor due to his office as honor due to himself. And I was like, oh, and that resonated with me, right? Once when I left a job and I was taking a smaller job at a smaller place because I was ready to like ramp things down, my boss said, in effect, how are you going to feel when people are no longer kissing your butt all over town? And I trotted that quote out.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't know what old Greek said that. Right.
Yeah.
And I want to know because I love that quote. It's one of my quotes. It's in my head. And I went to Chat GPT because it occurred to me it knows everything.
Right.
And Chat GPT said this quote is attributed to Herodotus. However, this version is slightly skewed, and there are many interpretations for the Greek. And I was like, oh. So then I asked a follow-up question, and all of a sudden that quote came from Confucius. Who,
oh, no, really?
I don't know if you know, isn't Greek.
Right.
He's Australian. And so now I don't know.
Yeah.
Now there's no way to ever know. And so that's all this is for me. It speaks to the hypocrisy that runs rampant. And it's another indication of how our culture is shifting. We've gone through the Me Too movement where Harvey Weinstein was confronted and brought down legally or held accountable legally for his actions, right? Cosby, a number of men who have been sexually assaulting women or abusing women, and or maybe even not necessarily women, just people beneath them, below them in terms of power,
right?
Obviously. And so that is now starting to bleed through into politics. We've got the very famous Donald Trump, who is above the law right now, and what the fuck is going to happen there? Don't know. And this is another instance of, oh, there are people who live in a hemisphere above us that are immune from the law. And she believes that she is one of them.
To be. Yeah. And to some extent, she probably is.
And she, And to my new favorite friend's point, officer's name I don't recall, but off the cuff. Yeah, where it's hypocritical to think that this doesn't happen because we know that it does.
Right.
So,
disappointingly, yes, but it does. I agree. So her apology, she put out an apology video on April 29th. She started it by saying, I failed you and the standards that I hold myself to. And for that, I am so sorry. What I did was wrong and I take full responsibility. She said that she had been driving home from work where she was dealing with 3 recent homicides and had also watched a video of a cab driver being murdered. And she was also still reeling from a frightening medical concern her husband had received that afternoon. We all have bad days and stress, and it was wrong for me to take it out on an officer who is simply doing his job, she said. Police already have a tough job, and that day I made that officer's job harder. Dorley said she would hold herself accountable by referring the incident to a district attorney from another county for review. They're probably best friends. She will also self-report to the grievance committee and will take ethics training. Dorley also said she pleaded guilty to the speeding ticket and will pay the fine. I've been humbled by my own stupidity and I'm fully to blame. I will make this right. I ask for your forgiveness, she said. So I don't know. I mean, whoever wrote that for her probably did a good job.
Listening to our podcast is what I'm going to say, because that's the only second time in the history of our show where somebody has said, I ask for your forgiveness.
Yeah, I think so.
Grimes weirdly was the other one. Funny how
So let's see. Was there an expression of regret? Yes, she said, actually. She said that she was wrong and takes full responsibility and regrets what she did. There wasn't really, there kind of was an explanation of what went wrong. She said that there were the 3 murders and she had watched a cab driver being murdered. And I don't know if that's an explanation or an excuse. As she said herself, everyone has bad days and everyone has stress, and it was wrong for her to take it out on somebody who was just doing his job. So I give that half a point. She did admit that she did it, so there was acknowledgement of responsibility. She did say that she was sorry, and she did make an offer of her parents saying, I will make this right, but she didn't say how. And she did ask for forgiveness, as you pointed out. Very uncommonly, she did request for forgiveness. So she did all those things right, but I just don't buy it.
And it's so interesting apology, because this is one where it by our own metrics, she's skating around a 5, but what she did was so egregious. One, it's an apology that I wouldn't accept. And it's hard when it comes to rating it to separate the crime from the offense. And I will say, on the police off the cuff, this is commercial for them, right? He did say, this is all really silly. This is stupid. This is nothing. Last week, he'd covered the murder of 3 police officers in North Carolina, where 8 officers were all shot and 100 rounds were fired and 3 died.
Damn.
Right? And he's like, he didn't say this, but his point was, that's a problem. That's something to get upset about. That's a thing. This is a politician who's above the law, and we all know they're above the law. And so what is this? This is nothing.
I would take issue with your implication that that's unimportant, or his implication that that's unimportant, or that just because it happens all the time means it doesn't matter. So
then you're going to love episode 2, the follow-on of the saga, because then he comes back and he's like, I don't know what I was thinking. This is terrible. What a horrible person, right? And so yeah. And I think, in short, please unfurl a flag and get me one of those things to stand on and shine a spotlight.
Okay.
Because the very fabric of our society, what do you call it when it starts to fall apart? Unravels. And I get the very fabric of our society falls apart if we don't all have laws that we have to abide by.
Right.
It's all just a fiction. And the minute we let everybody know it's all fiction, who's going to go to work? You just run to the grocery store and steal food, and then we'll run out of food, and then we'll be living under trees and eating each other. It disappears quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was fast.
So I got nothing after that.
Okay. All right. Well, so I was going to give her, if I were going by just the content of her apology, I would give her like an 8. But I think because of the lack of sincerity that I sense from her apology, I'm going to give her a 3. And I say that because I kind of want to give her less, but I kind of want to give her a 0. But we've had so many really bad apologies that it seems unfair to put her on the same level as those other ones. Her apology was actually a pretty good apology. So I'll give it a 3.
Yes, the apology was a textbook good apology.
Yeah. But I don't accept it.
I don't accept it either. I don't believe it's sincere. It's only because she got caught. She probably didn't expect the body cam footage to come out, right?
Right.
And she's a DA, so she knows that he's wired. She knows it's being recorded, right? Or she knows there's a strong possibility that it is, and she doesn't give a fuck in that moment, right? So I'm going to give it, I don't want to match you. I'm going to give it, why am I making it so hard? Just make up a number, Theo. Jesus. Let's go with a 3. It's same as you.
All right. Fair. That's an average of 3.
Yeah, I would like to also, so since I don't accept it, that's essentially a 0. But you did some things, your mouth made the right shapes.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So we all learned a little bit today. And I do have a who's sorry now or apologies expected. How about you?
I do also have a who's sorry now or / apologies expected.
What have you got?
Oh, I'll go.
Yeah.
And so apology expected from the ChatGPT team. Here's its final appearance in the show for stealing Scarlett Johansson's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. They haven't issued a public apology yet because there's a lawsuit. But yeah, she voiced an AI in a movie called Her, which came out in the 90s, in the early 2000s. I don't know. A long while back. And somebody just thought, wow, let's use that voice. And so they approached her and asked her if they could. And her team said no. And then they were kind of negotiating, like, would there be money in it? What are we going to do? Blah. And ChatGPT people went forward and did it anyway. So
yeah,
apology expected. And I'm sure it'll be a well-crafted one by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Signed Herodotus.
All right, that's cool. My apology expected is from a zoo in China who has been accused of trying to deceive visitors with a pair of dogs dyed black and white to look like panda bears.
What?
Videos circulating on Chinese social media show the two panda dogs in an exhibit at Taizhou Zoo in the eastern province of Jiangsu that opened on May 1st. Though the animals are patterned to look like pandas, which are endemic to China and an international symbol of the country, their wagging tails give them away. Zoo officials told Chinese state media that they were chow chows, a fluffy dog breed originally from northern China, at least they're Chinese, painted black and white to resemble giant pandas, adding that they had clearly advertised them as panda dogs and did not make any false claims. So I think people were misled by that, and the zoo should apologize.
Yeah, they should. Did they dye the dogs, or the dogs?
They did.
Oh.
They dyed them black and white.
That is even more terrible. It's one thing if a dog happens to look like a panda.
Right. But dyeing it, that's intent to deceive, in my opinion. So that's my apology expected for the day. So I think that's it. Is there anything else you'd like to contribute to today's episode before we take our summer hiatus?
Before we go back on break, so we just dived in and then dive out. No, actually, I'll say the next two episodes will be classic re-release, and then we'll get back into the groove of things. And then it'll be Christmas upon us before we even know it.
Oh, my God.
It's halfway here.
Oh, my God.
I can't wait.
I love Christmas, but I'm ready for summer. I'm not ready for Christmas yet.
Not ready for summer.
Totally ready for summer. All right. Stay cool, cucumbers.
Don't trip potato chip and tits out.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Apologies Accepted, the podcast.
You can find links to the articles and the sources in the show notes.
To submit an apology or find out more, visit us at apologiesaccepted.net, where you can also find our merchandise.
We're on Twitter at Apologies Accepted.
And on Instagram at apologies.accepted.
You can support our important work at Patreon.com/Apologies Accepted.
And fuck Facebook.
Bye.
Bye.